Hi, I'm Rolf Rosenkrantz, editor with Devex, and I'm speaking today with Adva Saldinger, who is in San Francisco as SOCAP is wrapping up one of the big conferences here in the United States on social entrepreneurship and impact investing. Adva, what are some of the biggest challenges that people at the conference tell you social entrepreneurs and impact investors face around the world?
Yeah, there are sort of a wide range of challenges. I think one of the key challenges that I've been talking to people about here, especially for social entrepreneurs, is getting access to seed capital. So they've already proved their concept, but they need the money that will allow them to take the product to scale, to sort of do that middle step of development. It's before the earliest, it's between the earliest stage of investment and the sort of commercial viability of a product. And there are a lot of innovations going on in this space. There are funds who are trying to tackle what's called the pioneer gap, and some work being done in this area. USAID made announcements this week through their PACE program of 3 grantees, where they're looking at tackling this issue through more efficient accelerator models. Both more broadly, but also specifically in the energy space, and looking at how they can help underwrite the costs of a fund that is going to do sort of some of these smaller scale investments. It's very difficult for traditional funds to make small investments, at the $15,000, $50,000, $100,000 level. It's much more financially viable for them to make $1 million, $2 million plus level investments in companies, and these earlier stage companies cannot absorb that amount of capital. And so really, there have been a ton of conversations between both the investors and the social entrepreneurs about how to, bridge that gap, how to address some of these critical issues. I think one of the other things that I would note here is that there are not a lot of, so the traditional development actors at the table. Certainly USAID has been here. I've talked to some people from the World Bank and Mercy Corps and PSI, but there is definitely sort of a need of how do we really think about some of the more traditional development work and how it can play into and inform and enhance some of these models and provide some support. Been talking to people about sort of how that can happen in a better, more efficient, collaborative way.
Interesting. And you're, of course, traveling back to Washington very shortly. What other stories do you have in your luggage with you? What can we expect from you in the next couple of days?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm going to be looking at, publishing some of the results of some of these interviews I've done with people, looking at, how do we tackle some of these gaps? How do we address some of these challenges? What are practical ways for the development community to get involved? And what are some of the interesting innovations that are happening here? I talked to someone from Gearbox, and one of the challenges they're facing in Nairobi in Kenya is they have these companies that are developing products and hardware, but they don't have a place to go to do the small-scale manufacturing, to do some of the additional work to further prototype the products. And so they're working to develop a facility. It's going to have 3D printing, large-scale machines, so it's going to enable them to do some of the higher level design work and small scale manufacturing in Africa, which is one of their challenges currently. So I think there's a ton of interesting stuff going on. I hope you guys will, keep checking back at Devex to learn more about what's going on at this really exciting space where, innovation and new forms of finance and are coming together to really address these critical challenges.
And thanks so much, Adva, for hustling there at the conference. Look forward to all that coverage coming up in the next couple of days.
Great, thanks.